to do a video about something that's really relevant right now since we're fixing to get into the winter months. And we also had a viewer email us about this very thing. So we figured, why not do a video about it and share some of our experiences and our thoughts on the subject.
Yeah, we did a winter driving tip video a long time ago, probably well over a year ago, but still a lot of good information in it. If you guys want to check that out, we'll link it down in the description of this video.
And I'll put a card up here.
A lot of good information in that, but we want to add some stuff to it. You know, one of the people who emailed us said they were driving through Missouri and they weren't feeling comfortable with the weather conditions there. It was really windy, and they called their dispatch and said they were going to pull over for a couple of hours, and their dispatchers started pressuring them. The owner started pressuring them, the dispatcher started pressuring them, telling them that to keep going, you know, basically telling them they needed to keep going. This customer was a really important customer and they needed that freight, and they were basically bullying them into continue driving. So
when they didn't feel safe to continue driving.
Right. Now, never ever should a company or an owner tell you to keep driving when you don't feel safe. Never. If that ever happens, start looking for another place to work immediately. No one should ever tell you that you should continue driving in bad conditions. You know, we're coming into, I think is going to be a really bad winter. You know, it's already started snowing here in December. Usually, you know, first snows don't hit till January. And
well, it was snowing in some of the northern states, Wyoming and stuff, back November, early November.
Early November, so they were getting hit from some snowstorms already. So I think this is January and February, I think are going to be really tough for us. So our safety is most important. No load is worth damaging the freight or killing yourselves.
No, or getting in an accident.
Getting in an accident and maybe killing somebody else, you know. It is not worth it.
No. You are the only one that knows if the conditions are safe to drive in. A dispatcher's not there, an owner is not there. Now, keep in mind, you know, there's steps you need to take before you shut down your truck or vehicle, van, whatever you're driving.
Absolutely.
If it's a condition, no matter what it is, wind, rain, snow, ice, whatever the case may be, fires in California right now, the smoke, only you know if you feel safe to drive. If you do not feel safe and you need to shut it down, that is your call, but you need to take some steps. You need to, one, call your dispatchers. If you're on a load, the first communication needs to be to your dispatcher. Let them know the situation. A good dispatcher carrier is going to ask you where you are. They're going to ask the situation. They may even look up some information. You know, they're going to look up maybe the weather in your area to see. So they may look up and want some of that information, and they may question you about it. And that's fine, but as long as you're letting them know the information and the situation, just because they look something up on Google Maps or the Weather Channel doesn't mean that that's the situation you're in. We all know that information isn't always correct. And the bottom line is nobody should pressure you to continue on no matter what.
No matter what.
Safety is the utmost important. Your life is more important than any freight.
Make the call. Call your dispatch. Call your owner. Explain what's going on and tell them you don't feel comfortable and you're going to pull over for a couple hours and see if it's going to lighten up.
In most cases, even if it's a hot freight item or it needs to be there ASAP, the dispatcher or your carrier should be able to communicate with the customer and let them know what's going on. You know, if it's not safe to continue, they should be in contact with their customer and let them know. No customer should be saying, oh no, they need to continue on, because they're not driving. They're not out in the conditions.
Right. And gosh, January is going to be 5 years for us out in Expediting, right? Not once in the 5 years that we've been out here doing Expediting has anybody ever pressured us to continue driving. Never. No. Never happened. We were taking a load to Boston one time, and it was really windy. It was no snow. It was just really bad rain. The rain was so heavy that I could not see probably 10 feet in front of the truck. I had the windshield wipers going full blast, and it didn't help. It didn't help. I could not see. So, snow isn't the only thing that's going to shut you down out here. There's times where it can be really windy if you're going across Wyoming. If you've ever been across Wyoming, you know it can get pretty dangerously windy out there where it's blown over trucks and stuff.
Or even in through like New Mexico, Arizona, dust storms.
Dust storms,
bad dust storms
Yep.
can happen.
Yeah, it's not just snowstorms out here. Never once have we ever been told to continue going. And never should you ever continue going if you don't feel safe.
No.
One thing I did like about Panther when we were with them is that if we told them we needed to shut down, that was it. That was the final say. There was no, well, let me look it up here and see. What.
Yeah.
Sure, they went and did that after I told them, but they never questioned me about it. If I said I needed to shut down, they just told it. We keep them updated, track the weather. There's so many mobile apps out there right now with weather that you can follow the weather, weatherchannel.com. For us, if we can get the TV on and try to find some weather channels on, we will. Listen to your CB. If you hear other trucks having problems, listen to what they're saying.
Communication is key, really. Yeah. And if you do shut down, keep them in the loop. Don't just shut down and 10 hours later call them. You need to keep them updated and they'll probably tell keep us updated, update us every couple hours, depending on what type of load you're doing. As long as you communicate, there should be no issue with you shutting down with your carrier or even your owner. I mean, especially your owner. Your owner, that's their truck. They should not want you to continue on and endanger yourselves or the equipment. You wreck, not only is it your life that's in danger, but you're also damaging their equipment, and then they're going to have to pay money to fix that.
Right.
And possibly even charge you. If you're in an accident, yeah, there's insurance, but a lot of times you're going to have to pay the deductible for that, which could be $1,000 or more.
Now, from an old operations manager standpoint, don't use it as an excuse to pull over because you don't want to continue driving because you're tired.
Make sure it's legitimate.
Yeah, be legit about it. The fact is, we're truck drivers. We have to drive in some pretty not so fun conditions. I know there's been a bunch of times where we were driving across the 40 in New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, all that. And gosh, you're constantly holding the steering wheel like this. Your shoulders start hurting after a couple hours.
Trying to fight the wind.
Fighting the wind. And it's not that it's going to blow us over or, it's going to damage anything. Sure, it's harder to drive in. Slow it down a few miles an hour. If you go from 65 down to 55 or even from 60 to 55, you'll be amazed of how much more control you'll have of your vehicle versus just trying to barrel through it. Slow it down. Drive to the conditions. Just because it's not snowing or raining and it's just a little bit of wind doesn't mean keep driving at 65, 70 miles an hour like you normally do. Slow it down some. It's going to make the conditions a little bit more easier to handle.
You want to arrive safely. I mean,
you do.
There's times when I've been driving daylight hours, but there's ice on the road. The roads haven't been plowed, especially in the South. The South just does not have the capacity or understand how to keep the road clear.
Well, they use sand versus salt.
Yeah, but they're not on it a lot of times like up north, But I mean, I've slowed it down and I've got 18-wheelers blowing by me, but I'm at a safe speed where I feel safe.
So to kind of wrap it up, we've never had anybody ever question what our decision was. If we don't feel it's safe, don't do it. And we've never had anybody question that. If somebody is telling you and trying to force you to continue driving, honestly, I would start looking for a new carrier and a new owner.
Yeah.
Whoever's telling you to do that, they are not looking out for your best interests or the freight's best interests.
And just one thing I want to add, if there is a dispatcher trying to force you or saying that you need to continue, call the safety department. I would call safety and bring it to their attention because I can guarantee you that safety department is not going to agree with what that dispatcher is telling you.
Guarantee it. Unless it's like a small company, But for the most part, most of the carriers out here, if dispatch is giving you a hard time, call safety department. They will get all up in that they will get up in that dispatcher's butt with a quickness. The safety department isn't always going to be your enemy. They can be helpful. Don't be afraid to call them. You know, it's not snitching, it's covering your butt.
Right.
Never let them force you.
No.
Never, ever, ever let them force you.
Only you know when it's safe to continue or not. You are the one in the conditions, and it's ultimately your decision.
Absolutely. Check out the old video that we did. It's a lot of really good info and tips on how to handle driving on the road in snowy weather. Hope this video is kind of helpful to the person who sent us the email. Where we're at now, they don't question it. We haven't had to call in yet, but I guarantee the safety department at Landstar,
they are all about safety.
If it ain't safe, don't do it.
Right.
If there's any question of not being safe, don't do it. Smaller companies, I can see them doing that. Don't let them do it to you. You guys be safe out here. We're coming into a really bad winter. I hope everyone has a safe and profitable winter. Pull it over and be safe. We want to see you guys down the road, okay?
Absolutely. So thank you guys, as always, for watching and subscribing. And until our next video, peace, love, and expediting.